Hi, my name is Johan Eriksson, professor of saxophone at the University of Montana. This is a preparation video for Montana All-State. We're gonna do the F-sharp minor, Andantino by Heinze. We're gonna go over this measure by measure, and I'm just gonna give you some pointers of things to look out for, phrasing-wise, musically, technique-wise, etc., etc. Let's start in measure 1 and 2. You have that opening idea. That part. Make sure that you're connecting each note and that there's no break in between the notes, especially as you're moving from C sharp to F sharp over the break. Then we get to the next idea in measure 3. And here, there's really two different musical lines going on. There's this, and there's this. So the way I saw that is I tongue the bottom ones lightly, and then I put vibrato on the top. To make them sound different. Then we get to 1, 2, 3, 4. We get to measure 4, and there you have a trill from a C sharp to a D. The best way of doing this is actually by playing your palm key E flat key. Not. You can hear a big difference there. I believe I also play the next D, this one. That one, I play that with my E flat key as well. After that C sharp, the middle C sharp in measure 4, that's where phrase 1 ends. That's a good place to take a breath. Then you have a low C sharp. Tricky to do, a little trick is to come up when you play when you play the C sharp. It makes it a little bit easier to get that C sharp to come out. You might also tap one of the keys. My favorite one to tap is the F sharp key. Right as I hit the C sharp, I tap the F sharp, and it makes the air kind of start moving through the instrument. But it is tricky to do at this volume. You have the same musical idea as you had in measure 3 there, and you would deal with it the same way. Measure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one is really the same musical motif as measure 3. There are just more notes added. You see that? Da-dee-da-dee-da-dee-dum. When we get to measure 7, the first F sharp there is really the end of that phrase. The rest of it is just kind of a tag on to that phrase. So the way I play this is you hear how I kind of rested on that F sharp before I continued. We get to the last measure of that phrase, measure 3 of system 2. This is really an F sharp minor arpeggio, but it has some leading tones. So I want to make a big deal out of those leading tones. Non-harmonic notes are good notes to add some emphasis on. So I play it like this. After that F sharp, next measure starts phrase number 3. This 8th note rest is a good place to breathe. We have a mezzo forte there. You probably want to add some vibrato. You want to add intensity here. Not too much to say about it, other than look out for these downward leaps. The F sharp to G sharp can be a little bit tricky to connect. And there's a lot of those leaps in this section of the piece. When we get to this part, that trill is a trill to an A, and you can keep your G sharp key down and just trill with your G key. When you get to the next measure, this part, notice my fingers here. I'm holding the 3rd one, my octave key, 1, 2, 3. That's my C sharp. I call this long C sharp. And then to go to D, you just add 2 fingers. It will make it much easier to play that with an even timbre instead of C sharp D, C sharp D, C sharp D. Notice that you have 32nd notes here. It starts out with 16th notes, then it's 32nd notes. Now, phrase number 4 actually starts at beat 6 and in this measure. So that's the end. Now, the next one. It's not. See, that sounds kind of dumb, but the way it looks on the page, it looks like that middle C sharps belong to the notes before it. So you want to play da 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 dim and pick up and boom. Now you have the same figure in phrase number 4 as you did starting phrase number 3. So this time we should probably add even more intensity. Otherwise it will just sound the same. We get to the last system. This is basically a tag on that we haven't seen this musical material before. And intensity should be pretty high. I make the top notes a little bit longer. It's an F sharp minor triad again. And then another opportunity on that last measure to play a D with your E flat palm key. You can do it either way. Let's talk about motifs in this movement. On your screen, there's a sheet where I have circled all the motifs. As you can see, there's about 5 or so in the entire piece. And pretty much everything is accounted for. All the musical materials is accounted for just by those 5 musical ideas. So if you're aware of those, you can bring them out using nuance and dynamic, nuance with vibrato, etc., etc. And there's some, for example, motif number 3, that's not entirely obvious until you actually start looking at it this way. And motif number 3 is that upward interval. You first see it towards the end of the second system. That is pretty much it for that piece. Good luck with your auditions.